Yeah, how are you?
Looks we're hiding again, back to old days.
Usual place.
Okay, so just a few announcements. At end of this month will be the end of our rains retreat. So that's end of the Vasa, full moon. You can come and observe 3 nights here if you want to, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you dare to face with the cold weather here in our temple, because temple is cold. So you can come and practice. And following week, which is on the 5th of November, we'll have this annual Katina ceremony. So that will be our probably the last event, our last big event. I hope that there will be no weather, no bad weather, so that we can have good fun.
We face the world, so I think we are okay.
Yeah. So I just need to prepare things and get ready. We're going to have around 9 monks, so that's quite a big thing, big organizing and looking after. So that's the our temple's events coming. And then on the 13th of November there is a celebrating Aberdeen Interfaith 30th anniversary. So it's celebrating in Aberdeen Townhouse at the Lord Provost. Invited 140 people for that event. Before that, Hanjip will be departing on the 8th of November back to Thailand. Warm and a nice weather, and a perfect time to go back. It's not a nice time to be here after November, December, January, February. So that's not a good time to be because of a darkness, a pitch dark, rain, wind, what else? Cold, damp, you name it.
Storm.
Yeah, very
Storm,
realistic.
Storm.
But I would like to ask about interfaith event. Do we need invitations or we can just appear?
No, it's just the invited one only. So Interfaith Scotland will issue an invitation.
All right.
Okay. So that's why it's not a nice time to be, but I've been here for such a long time, and everybody asks me, you've been here for over 10 years, you must be used to with it. Then you normally used to say that, well, it can be used to, but unfortunately I do not take any Scots.
That's good. That's good.
All the Scots survived with that Scot. But for me, I can't. So, and yet, they think that I came from Nepal in a high altitude and a good weather and a cold weather up there, and they say, oh, for you it's okay. It's not okay. Cold is cold. It's always cold. And it reminds me when I was walking up to the Larry Grove, going up to the Larry Grove, and used to go every year since the COVID haven't gone back that route yet. Whenever I see the walkers on the way, and then we discuss and we chat, and then normally they ask me, where are you from? And I say, oh, I came from Aberdeen. And the question is, no, where are you from? And then I say, oh, I came from Nepal. I was born in Nepal. And say, oh, in that case, these hills are just the tiny babies for you. Because the hills here, it's like a little, what is it called? Little mud hills in Nepal. Right? So you have to climb like a small one could be along like 1 hour or 2 hours going up hills. And yet, the difference is here, in Nepal, the weather is always static. Winter is winter. Summer is summer. But here, no. It's very different. Yeah. Suddenly it can change, and suddenly it can rain, and suddenly it can be very cold. Yeah. In the hills called Mahongson. So known, very famous site now, very expensive now. He was born there, and then so I invited him to go with me to Nepal, and I said, well, Nepal is 80% of mountains. Do you think you will enjoy? Do you think you can survive? And he said, no problem, I was born in hills. So he went, and the very next day he saw a giant mountain in Kathmandu, and he said, is this a mountain? So then we went for a walk. Yeah, and when we went for a walk, and he said, the hills, the mountains that I call the very high top ends are like a baby mountains. Baby mountains, I like that. So then we walk and up to the top of the hills, and it took about 3 hours. And it was a good chat and a good conversation and good discussions on different issues and different topics. And also the linking to that, I just wanted to mention that we were discussing about the Satipatthana. And the Satipatthana is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And then we picked up certain words from there. And one particular word that we discussed was the parimukham. One was parimukham, which means being at front. That was one. And then there's another one, the word that we discussed was the let's go back to that parimukham first. The being at front. Being at front. Also another the word was the sunyagara-gatam. Sunyagara means empty huts. So these 2 words we were discussing. The one thing was the parimukham. Now when you're climbing up to the mountains, you are not thinking of anything. You're not thinking of anything. You are counting your breaths. Because the breath becomes so important, and this breath becomes so harsh. So it's like a. So you're mindful of this breath every moment you are stepping up. And in that moment, you don't have to think, where is my breath? You don't have to think at all. So breath is there, and you're always consciously aware of that breath. And with that breath, you are learning to move your legs. You're moving your body along with that breath. Right? You're not having any thoughts. You don't have any other things. When I'm going to be there, how I'm going to walk, nothing. You simply become mindful of that breath, and then with that breath you are moving your legs. How fast you're moving and how slowly you are moving. It's entirely up to that breath. Right? And then the more you faster move, again the breath becomes more faster, and then it makes you breathless. Okay? So mindfulness here, mindfulness of the breath is naturally happening there, and you are mindful there. So your sati or your mindfulness is at front at that very moment of that breath that it is taking place. Now you can experiment this one when you are, suppose, rather than just a simple walk, run. When you are running, then you become aware of this breath more closely. And you become so aware that if you run a little fast, it affects your breath. Okay? And then if you make it slower, then again you feel more comfortable and you know the balance. Right? You know the balance, how fast you have to run and how slow you have to make it yourself. In order to not to be breathless, and then also not to be too much strain in your body. So that sort of a mindfulness we have to develop in our day-to-day life. And that is a mindfulness. Normally we have this perception that practice of a mindfulness meditation is just to sit down and watch the breath and try to notice this breath and try to be mindful of this breath. We're thinking. It's not about thinking. The moment when we think about this, we are making it to make it happen. And that doesn't work like that. Okay? Whereas the practice is basically we need to be natural as it possible and to be mindful of that breath. And then remember, breath is not the meditation. It is just a tool. Right? Tool. Now, to make it a balance, now you can see when you are running, when you're climbing a mountain, how the breath balances your feelings, your emotions, and your physical body. That sort of a balance, we have to bring it in our practice, in day-to-day life. And that's how we become a practitioner, proper practitioner. Otherwise, we're just thinking, oh, I am meditating. Thinking of this breath. I need to pay attention to this breath. Where is the breath? We don't know. But we want to know. We want to pay attention to this breath, but we don't know where is the breath. And we're searching here and there, and we lost. Whereas a natural breath is there, just be there, and all what we need is to sharpening our mindfulness, the sati, so that we can see it, we can observe it. Right? Now, you may see, if you think of something, then you will be aware of that one. Similarly, a breath also, if you think of it, then it becomes available. Right? And that's why it's called anusati, so going back again and again. That's another way of looking at it. Try to make ourselves familiar with this breath. So to make it familiar, we have to go back again and again until our mind observes it and then fully see that this is the breath. Right? And after we have seen it, we have to follow. Right? So we have to follow it again and again, again and again. With that following, then concentration comes. Without that, concentration will not come. Mind won't satisfied and settled, no. Right? And then once we have that concentrated mind, maybe soundly concentrated mind, then the rest of other things slowly emerges and we will be able to notice it, and recognize it and see it. Right? And in our day-to-day life, particularly, you all are so busy at work. And in that case, how can you be mindful of your breath? And similarly, as you are paying attention to this breath, in a similar way, whatever object or whatever job you are doing, you got to be mindful of that. So that is the parimukkham. Whatever job you are doing, whatever things that you are doing, you are present at that time and being mindful of that. That's called parimukkham. Okay, so do not only exclude it for the breathing meditation only. We have to see where the parimukkham being at present is whatever we are doing at that moment, we are present there.
Ajahn, it's not observing, so we are experiencing it, is it?
Yeah. Experiencing it. But we have to observe and we have to train, and sort of a gradual process is there. But once we have trained and once we have able to observe it, then another story. Okay? So, but the Parimukham word that I want to highlight here, that do not exclude it only for the breathing meditation or any particular practice of a meditation. It is whatever job we are doing, whatever things that we are doing, being mindful at that present and being there. That is, or just be at your work. And that is the mindfulness that we need to develop, so that we are present there at all the time without losing our awareness. So once we can do that, then our mindfulness becomes more refined. The more it refined, then gradually what happens that we will be able to understand more closely of our own physical body, own activities, and how I feel, how my emotions are affecting me, and what my mental states are, and how these are conditioned. So we will be able to observe that one too. And with that observation, what happens? Eventually we realize, oh, nothing to worry. Nothing to worry. It comes and it goes. It's like going to the toilet. That's it, done, finished. Like that. The moment when we can say, oh, nothing to worry, that's it, finished. Then, why worry then? So, like that. And that is the practice that we need to develop. And another word, actually, we'll take another few minutes. Another word that we were discussing was the word called Sunyagara-gato. Sunyagara means the empty heart. Now his perception was not an empty heart. It's not a place that is a kind of a house where nobody lives or quiet. But his understanding is that Sunyagara means place where there are no houses. Place where there are no houses, so that there will be no disturbances. Like a cave. Like a cave. Or far away from the villages or houses, at least about 1 kilometer. So that's his perception. If we go and stay in a cave or a place where there is no house, sunya means nothing, gara or aghara means the house. So sunya, no houses, so empty houses. Oh no, a place where are no houses. I think that's the way of looking at it. His perception is that, and with that, it supports the practice of a meditation, so that there will be no disturbances. But however, the famous translation is that empty hut or empty house. So basically, like a house with nobody, and nobody is disturbing you, and that is his perception. But that's not the big issue. But the issue is, how do you practice mindfulness in your day-to-day life, and how you can find your breath? So that's why I think even it's 2-3 weeks already that I've been asking you to find out your breath and work with the breath and try to find out which one is a long breath and which one is a short breath, and work with that one. And if you can work with that and able to see the long breath and a short breath, then the rest is simple. So that's the first stage or step that we have to learn. And once we know that this is a long breath and this is a short breath, rest you can walk by yourself. It's like having a license to drive a car. Okay, so with that, let's practice that.
The 3 things Buddha said to meditate. One is to go to a place where there are no other houses, and go to a forest.
Go to forest, go to under the tree.
What's the Pali?
Aranyagato va, rukkamula gato va, sunyagara gato va. So go to the forest, go to under the tree, not under the tree, and then the empty huts, which normally we have this translation of empty huts, and so far I have heard only this person said this Sunyagara means a place where there are no houses. Alright, so let's practice the meditation. Sitting comfortably and bring your attention to the moment, here and now. I'll leave all your responsibilities aside. Whatever duties and responsibilities that you are responsible for, just leave aside. Just bring your attention and be mindful of yourself as you're sitting. And spend some time taking a breath in and breath out just to relax the body. And settling down, grounding yourself. So being mindful of the object of the meditation, let's say the breath. Try to bring the balance and try to learn along with this breath. Initially you may have to pay a lot of effort to observe the breath coming in and going out. But once it's been settled, observing it. Do not interfere with it. I'm just sitting at the bank of the river and watching the river flow. Expecting nothing but simply being there and observing as it comes and as it goes. So if you feel comfortable with the breath in your nose, observing that breath in your nose and feel the sensation of that. But if you feel comfortable with the rising and falling of the abdomen, observing that rising and falling of abdomen. And try to observe the different types of the rising and falling of abdomen.